In front page of the People Daily, Moi shared out his vast empire before death. Goes on to talk about state honor that the former president will receive. Soldiers at Lee Funeral Home, Nairobi, yesterday, as burial planning team held its first meeting and set former president's interment date for February the 12th, with details of his last wishes emerging, and a chronology of events that will take place as we move closer to the date of burial, found on the front page of your People Daily this morning. Also, ex-president's secret to firm grip on country for 24 years. He definitely used provincial administration and ruling party networks to keep tabs on events in all corners of Kenya. This confession from one of his PCs as well, his provincial commissioners, Joseph Kahudi, who said those who dared interfere with his political interests, he would deal with you very badly, sorry to say. Secrets as to how he had that firm grip that people talked about for 24 years being talked about. That right there in your copy of your People Daily this morning. Front page of the Standard, Moi's political stars. The big names Mzee built. No other Kenyan leader has left such a huge imprint on public life. Almost all of today's top politicians learned their trade under him. And you look at it from both sides of the political divide, students of the professor of politics. We have a President Kenyatta, Raila Odinga right there, DP Ruto, Senator Wetangula, Musalia Mudavadi, and Kalonzo as well, who was Kanu Organizing Secretary General and a long-serving minister under the late president. So the Standard just goes into more detail talking about that right there. Front page of the Daily Nation, power games and plans for Moi funeral. Ruto stood alone at Harambee House Annex to eulogize the former head of state, a stark contrast to the situation at Lee Funeral Home, where the state machinery had converged. And when he arrived at the funeral parlor, the state officials, security chiefs, and family members were nowhere to be seen, leaving him an isolated man. That's a story that the Daily Nation is carrying this morning. But also, they're talking about a very pertinent story. Are our children safe in school? The Daily Nation asks. The stampede at Kakamega Primary that claimed 14 innocent lives brings to the fore the issue of safety. Not the first time we're talking about that right here in the show. Actually, just 4 months after we had such a discussion, and we'll be talking about that right here as well on our newspaper review. Front page of the Star, Jubilee tensions spill over to Moi funeral planning. Head of Public Service Joseph Kenywa expected to issue a statement on former president's burial preparations, but even as that goes on, there seems to be a clash between DP Ruto and CS Matiang'i, each claiming to have been instructed by Uhuru. That's according to the Star this morning. It's a story they have on the front page right there. And even as we talk about that, BBI taken to international fronts, the handshake taken as well. BBI to stop Kenya's chaotic elections, enhance economy, says President Kenyatta, of course. They were invited with former Prime Minister to the United States for a breakfast at the Congress to talk about the handshake and its political implications and, of course, what it meant for the country as well. And that's the story that's found in your copy of the Star this morning. Front page of the Business Daily, Treasury to audit firms in tax exemptions probe. Some beneficiaries are believed to have abused Treasury's policy to illegally avoid paying due tax. And that's what they're looking at this morning as far as your Business Daily is concerned. So as you can see, lots to discuss this morning. Let me get to my panel. My panelists here already. Gabriel Muthuma, governance expert. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
Welcome to the show.
Asante sana, how are you doing?
Very well. This is the first time you've been on since the passing on of our former president. So I just want to start from there.
I know.
Talk about your...
In fact, that's how we should have started. You know, you guys should not have started with booty calls. I don't know what's happening to this.
Well, I'll ask you after you finish. Please just take Mbuvi aside. Give him a bit of counsel.
We have to talk to Mbuvi today.
Yes, just give him some wise counsel.
But you know, I think in the past week, I think we've had, you know, tragedy after another. And just, you know, to talk about the passing on of the late retired President Moi. I think there's a lot that can be said, and we've heard right now across the board the people who've been eulogizing him, people who are friends, people who knew him, people who are very close to him, those that worked with him. I think, you know, even the people who really did not like him that much, I'm glad some of them have actually halted, you know, some of their thoughts just to allow this great son of this country to be eulogized in peace, which is a good thing, and I would commend them for that. Having said that, I think we've, you know, all papers today, you know, I've seen in the media, they're just talking about this great man. But one thing we can't forget, I think, I don't know whether you did, but, you know, me, at one point I was Mtoto wa Nyayo. And, you know, I was just looking back. and how that was. You know, the Maziwa ya Nyayo, going out there. I was in St. Peter Clevers back then, and I remember when we would leave the airport, the late president, we would actually go out and would be given the Kenyan flags. Yeah, those, you know, those two miniature paper flags. And it was an amazing thing to just see, you know, how he would pass across Landis Road, and we would have our flags all out, and we would have his iconic Rungu ya Nyayo. And this is how I think we remembered the president. But one thing that cannot be taken out was the milk. Do you know, Jeff, that between 1978 and 1979, the number to primary school actually increased by almost 700,000 after the introduction of the Nyayo milk. Yeah.
So the school feeding program was very effective.
It was amazing. And not only that, can you imagine how many farmers who were raising cows back then were able to profit, you know, from that government scheme? You know, so that just tells you it was quite a great thing. And this is a program that went on for 20 years uninterrupted. So that just tells you things worked quite well, you know, administration-wise, you know, even back then. And we all remember Moi being a disciplinarian. I even remember there was a year where it was Mwaka wa Nidhamu. It was, you know, the year of discipline. And so apart from that, we remember somebody who was so into education matters. Not only that, the sports stadiums that we have today, you know, were built around, you know, when he was president. When you look at Nyayo Stadium, it was built during his era. Kasarani, same thing for the 4th All African Games. So there's, I mean, we've been going back and forth, just, you know, reminiscing this great man. Moi had great attributes. I know there was a time this country was going through a dark place, you know, after the attempted coup of 1982. And there was that dark season until the repealing of Section 2A. But those are the things, Jeff, that will go into our history and to the testaments of this country when they are written. And probably this is a history we should not forget, because we must keep reminding ourselves, how did we get there? But other than that, I think Moi was and has gone to fit the bill of a statesman. When you remember him as somebody who guided peace not only in this country, he would go on to champion peace in South Sudan, in Uganda, and as far as Bosnia. So that element of him, and he believed in the three philosophies, and probably in the course of this discussion, that's something I would like us to look into. The Moi's philosophy, there were three simple items: peace, love, and unity. And you know, and I remember every Friday we used to do the in the school parade, the loyalty pledge. But just those three items of peace, love, and unity. What did Moi see then? He was a champion in agriculture, food, you know, vegetation cover, Jeff. And we are talking about the 80s, right? When coffee was doing and performing very well, when tea was performing very well, horticulture performing very well. We're talking about somebody who believed in agriculture and tried as much as possible to strengthen agriculture. We're talking about somebody who not only believed in agriculture, but also kept telling us, ukikata mti mmoja, panda miwili. I mean, you remember, and every weekend, there are so many pictures and videos that are going around where he would visit places to just udongo, the gabions. There are things that Moi is going to be remembered for. And not only that, the other thing which, you know, really crossed and comes to mind, Moi talked about family planning back then. All right? And if you look at our overly populated areas today, you realize there are things that we should have done back then that would actually be assisting or giving us, you know, a better kind of lifestyle if we had followed. Things like vegetation cover. Had we followed the issue of planting trees back then? Because guess what, Jeff? That's what we've come to. We are now talking about planting trees, increasing our vegetation cover. Something that Moi talked 30 something years ago.
What happened along the way? Do you feel that we forgot this
No, I think we did. I think we did forget. And you know, just like it is normal for a country to be, you know, to be engaged in other matters, and you forget things that are fundamentally important. I think that's what happened. I mean, because when we are talking about now, when we are now paying attention to the Big Four agenda and food security, we realize, guys, probably we cannot achieve that, the food security, as much as we would want it because of our vegetation cover. And now we are increasingly moving forward to, you know, put mechanisms in place to ensure that our vegetation cover is increased so that we can achieve this great agenda of food security. But had we continued with that momentum that Moi left, probably we'd be singing a different song. But that just goes on to show you, like the guy who wrote about his book, Edward Morton, what he said about Moi being a giraffe that saw very far. I was just talking yesterday. What did Moi see? You know, did he see as these problems, you know, being compounded into what you call quality problems that don't go away until a solution is found for them? I mean, because look at where we've come. We've come full circle. In BBI, we are talking about peace, love, and unity. So did Moi see these things back then?
We're talking about this, of course. I want to take a short break, of course, as I get my panel also to be fully constituted. After the break, we're joined by Honorable Jessica Mbalu, Honorable Jacob Midio as well. We discuss the Moi legacy, look at what's happening in Kakamega as far as that tragedy is concerned, and also cast an eye on the coronavirus. How prepared are we? President Uhuru Kenyatta said we have to be realistic with our capabilities as far as it's concerned. But what does that really mean? That and plenty more after the break.
Now, we kickstart the day with political topics and the ongoing political discussions as we focus on the day's newspaper headlines with our political guest panelists on K24 This Morning. Next, current affairs and live news happenings.